back to the Talia Fros channel. My name is Fiona and I'll be your host for this episode. This month we're going to get into protein treatments. Protein. You guys. In primary they told us proteins. But let's go with proteins today. Okay. So anyway, if you're new to the channel, thank you for coming on over. Please like, comment and subscribe. For our subscribers that are coming back, welcome back. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So fact, did you know that 91% of your hair is made of protein? Yes, it's true. So that's why protein treatments are important. That's why it's something you probably hear about on blogs or from your salon or wherever you're getting your natural hair information from, or actually hair in general, not just natural hair. So I think the first thing that I think we need to really get into is porosity. It's going to make sense as we go forward, but to get into what protein treatments are, why you need them, do you need them at all or how often, we need to first look at porosity. Now, I'm going to keep looking to my book here because this is going to be sort of a study session. Okay. What is porosity? Porosity just means your hair's ability or inability to absorb water and actually hold it. You know, to actually take in that water and keep it. So you've probably heard things like high porosity, low porosity, medium. And maybe you don't know what that means, and maybe you don't even know how relevant that is to your hair. So I just want to talk about that a little bit, okay? Because I really believe that knowing the porosity of your hair is a very important step in trying to build a regimen for yourself. True story. You should never imagine that it's a very specific science, that, you know, people with medium are exactly, you know, medium and it's the same. Each individual's hair differs, right? So I have a little illustration I made just to show you guys in like really simple diagrammatical terms what this is like, right? So I hope that this is focused well. So this is a little illustration of what we are talking about, right? So this is showing us the low porosity. Now what does this mean, right? This is the cortex of your hair. These little blue things you see represent the cuticles of your hair. Now when you have low porosity hair, this is what your cuticles, you know, essentially this is how they behave, you know. They are really close together, very closed, so it's difficult for moisture to get in. And in the same way, once it gets in, it's going to be difficult for it to come out because it's so closely packed. And so that explains the other two. When you have medium or normal porosity, it's going to be a little more space. This is actually the easiest and the most ideal kind of situation you'd have going on, because this means you can easily take in a good amount of moisture and you won't lose much as well, and you won't lose it fast. And then when you have high porosity, this is what it's like. It's easy for you to take in lots of moisture, and it's also easy for you to lose it really quickly. If your hair gets dry very fast, it's very likely that you have this hair type. And so, yeah, this, in most cases, you know, as time goes by, your hair does keep, you know, with wear and tear of combing and all these different things, your hair, like towards the ends of it, like towards the ends of your hair, the porosity will keep on increasing. It's just like inevitable wear and tear. And sometimes even some cuticles may be missing, and even with damaged hair, especially if your hair is processed, relaxed, usually this is what your hair looks like. The porosity is very high. You may even be missing a cuticle. You see, like here, there's one missing. And yeah, so it's very easy to take in, very easy to lose. So this is just like a quick, what does porosity mean? Okay, so now that we know what porosity means, the next thing is to find out what kind of porosity you have. Now, it's important to know that your hair porosity most often won't be exactly the same throughout your hair. Like the front may be a little more porous than the back, or vice versa. So when you want to test your hair, it's better to probably get like a strand from different areas, just so you know what the general, like maybe you'll find like the average, you get anyway, you'll find the average and see where your hair lies, because think of it more as a like a scale, like a 1 to 10 scale. Don't think of it as just high, medium, low. It's more like a 1 to 10 scale. You'll find people who are like more on the low than the medium. Some people are more on the medium than the low. So you just kind of find where you generally fall, and that will help you determine so many things when it comes to your regimen. I'm not going to get too much into porosity. I will do a separate video on my channel that really delves into porosity. You know, what does it mean for you? How can you use your porosity to design a regimen that is very specific to your hair needs as an individual, and you know, all of that, how to test your porosity. But really, I'll get into that in a separate video, so subscribe to my channel. Yeah, so but right now we're just going to get straight into protein treatments. Now, because our hair is made up of proteins, right? And like I showed you in the illustration, if you have high porosity, you need to fill in these spaces. You see? You need to fill in those spaces so that your hair will have a better chance of taking in moisture and retention. I'm sure you've heard of different homemade protein treatments. Mayonnaise is a common one. People tend to mix that with different oils, other you know, things you can find in your kitchen that you can use to make a protein treatment. Now, that is not a bad idea. Homemade protein treatments are okay at best. Why do I say that? The thing about homemade protein treatments is that the molecules in that protein are very large, right? And because they are so large, it's difficult for them to penetrate your cortex, like to penetrate your actual, like to get into your hair strand. At best, they will fill the, you know, the gaps that are more apparent, like we've seen in the diagram, the gaps that are just like on the outside of your cortex, but to actually penetrate into your strands, because you need this protein even within, right? You won't get that kind of effect from a homemade protein treatment. The best protein treatments will have hydrolyzed protein as an ingredient. Now, what is hydrolyzed protein? Hydrolyzed protein essentially means that the protein has been broken down. It's been broken down to these tiny molecules that can actually penetrate your hair strands, which is what you want. Because again, protein treatments are temporary. To have it last as long as possible, you want something that will penetrate and really, you know, not just something that just sort of stick to the outside and then, you know, it's gone in a short time. So I made a little illustration so that we can look at that as well. So here we go. Now, when you use homemade protein treatments, right, this is the kind of effect that you're going to get. The mayonnaise, the everything you're using will fill in the gaps. Most likely it's going to fill in those gaps because you see it's on the outside of the hair, so that it can actually, you know, it can attach too lightly, but again it won't stick. You know what I mean? It won't, it's just not going to penetrate the way that you want. When you use a protein treatment that has hydrolyzed protein in it, not only will it fill in these gaps, it also penetrates the cortex of your strands and gets in there. This is what you want. This will give you a longer lasting effect. This will do the job, okay? It will do the magic. This is why, you know, you would do a protein treatment. So one thing you want to do when you're trying to buy a protein treatment is to check that hydrolyzed protein is one of the first 3 ingredients, because in most cases, if it's not one of the first 3, then it has a very low concentration of it. And also, if you look at most of your products, you'll realize that hydrolyzed protein is a very common ingredient in many hair products, not just natural hair products, many hair products, because again, my hair is made of protein. So, you know, an infusion of protein is a good thing. So yeah, check for that when you're choosing your protein treatment. So another type of protein treatment is henna. Most people at some point in their lives have used henna, whether it's as a strengthening treatment or for color, but I'm sure that probably some of you know that henna is called a strengthening treatment, and the reason for that is because it has such a high concentration of protein in it, because it is and because it is organic. It's a popular choice for people who really want to keep it organic. So I personally like to just sort of alternate between store-bought brands and henna, because again, it's strengthening, and my hair tends to be weak sometimes, so that's another really good option for you. And then let's just get into the store-bought brand that I do use. It is called a 4G. So it says that a 4G two-step protein treatment. It's called a two-step because there's supposed to be like another treatment you're supposed to buy with it. But where is the money? Where is the money to buy it? A 4G is a little bit expensive, I'll say that. I'm not sure how much it costs abroad, but right here in this Uganda, it's a little bit expensive, okay? I got this one from Eva Nico. I truly don't remember how much I bought it for, but I'll find out, and I can leave that for you in the description box. And that's the only place I've ever bought it. I'm not sure if it's available anywhere else. The reason why I went for a 4G is because it's, I read about it when I did some research on YouTube, and it's quite well known for its strengthening properties. It is quite strong. It's quite strong, so yeah, it's not for playing games. Wear gloves. The very first ingredient says hydrolyzed collagen, which is hydrolyzed protein, so this is the good stuff. So yeah, this is my choice for protein treatments. It just does the work for me. It says right here that it stops hair breakage, rebuilds hair structure for 6 weeks, ideal for color treated, relaxed or palmed hair. Again, protein treatments not only for naturals. So yeah, you see, specifically the second one, rebuilds hair structure for 6 weeks. That's something that's getting into your strands and giving you a longer lasting effect, which is what we were talking about. So I just want to say real quick, if you are going to use a 4G or any other similar store-bought brand that is an intensive treatment, because this is quite an intensive treatment. It's quite strong on your hair. Like even after you apply it, it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be quite dry. So you must do a deep conditioning after, so that you can just like replenish your hair's moisture. I'm always talking about Kentaro's Avugi. This is my favorite deep conditioner. There's so many out there. I'm sure you have your favorite. Just make sure to do a deep conditioner after you do a strong protein treatment. I mean, even with henna, personally, I do a deep conditioning after, and I know that most people do as well, just like from my research on YouTube and stuff. I know that most people like to do a moisturizing treatment, that is to say a deep conditioning treatment after a protein treatment, to just like replenish the hair. Okay, so now that we've talked about what is a protein treatment and what you can use, your options, what are the best options for you, the next thing is, how do you use a protein treatment? Now you do, the first thing you want to do is shampoo your hair. Okay, that's like the prep step for every treatment. So shampoo your hair and scalp, make sure it's nice and squeaky clean, so that you can prepare it for the next product. Then apply your protein treatment. Now what you really want to do when you're applying is to really focus on from the mid shaft to the end, because this is the oldest part of your hair. So you really want to make sure that you're concentrating on that mid to end, because that is the part of your hair that has experienced the most wear and tear. What is happening? Anyway, that's the part of your hair that has experienced the most wear and tear over time. That's the oldest part of your hair. So you really want to concentrate your product on that part of your hair because it needs it more than the rest of it, right? So that's applicable. Honestly, it's not a very difficult science. That's how you apply it, and then leave it on. Now, when it comes to adding heat, it will really depend. What factors in is what kind of protein treatment you're doing, right? If you are doing the protein treatment where you're using just like kitchen items like mayonnaise and all that, you can actually have heat on your hair for a longer period, because stuff like that is very gentle. It's not too tough on your hair or anything. If you are using a 4G, this is what I recommend, and I recommend it because it's written on the bottle, please. This is what is written on the bottle. So leave your hair uncovered. Don't use a plastic cap. Unlike mayonnaise and whatever, a 4G is quite strong. You don't want to put too much heat on your hair when you have it in there. And as you know, a plastic cap adds heat, right? So don't put on a plastic cap. What you can do is, if you have a dryer, you can go under your dryer, or you can just use your blow dryer if you have one, and just apply heat for about 15 to 20 minutes. That is plenty. Actually, even if you don't do all this, me sometimes when I put a 4G, I put, and then in those 15 to 20 minutes, I just go do my things, because you see, even your body generates heat, so that body heat is enough. That's how I do it. Because I just generally don't like to put heat on my hair, even if it's for a short time. So that's what you want to do. Side note, sitting under the dryer for more than 20 minutes is always harmful to your hair. It's not something that you will see instantly, but sitting under the dryer for more than 20 minutes will damage your hair on some level. It's just, you'll do it today, you'll do it next week or next month. It's a gradual process, and it will eventually become, damage that you can see, that is more like apparent, So yeah, keep your dryer time between 15 to 20 minutes. You really don't need to go further than that. So after that, then it's washing out, and like we talked about, doing a deep conditioning treatment, and then just continuing with the normal stuff. You deep condition, you moisturize, etc., etc., and voila, you're done. Protein treatment in the bag for the next 6 weeks. Your hair is fine. It is strong. It is ready to do all the things that it is supposed to be doing. It is just dope. What is wrong with me? Anyway, one more thing that I want to talk about is who should be doing protein treatments and how frequently. Now, I believe that protein treatments are necessary for everyone, no matter what kind of hair type, hair porosity you have, because like we said, your hair is always going through some kind of wear and tear, even just from twisting it, even just from gentle combing. It's just that, of course we minimize, right? You try to minimize the kind of wear and tear, that you're imposing on your hair. So because your hair is constantly going through that kind of stuff, the porosity of it is constantly increasing, right? Especially like we talked about, from the mid shaft to the end of it, it keeps on increasing. So everybody needs protein treatment. However, how often you need protein treatment will really depend on your porosity, right? So if you have low porosity hair, for example, you're not going to need protein treatments as often. You really need them less frequently than any of the other porosity. Are you guys hearing that? Yeah, my way, sorry. Anyway, if you have low porosity, you will need it less frequently. Why? Because, again, flashing back to our illustration, your hair is covered like your cuticles have very small spaces between them, so you don't need a lot of help. You don't need a lot of help with, you know, just like filling up the spaces and all that and strengthening your hair. Actually, generally people with hair that has low porosity, their hair will be a little bit more shiny, and because it retains more moisture, once it gets in there, you know, it stays there and it gets have a little bit more of a sheen, and you know, so you really don't need it all the time. Once a month is plenty for you. It really is, like, it's plenty. You can do it once a month. Honestly, you can get away with once in 2 months. As you know, hair is not a very specific science. You learn as you go. You keep learning what is best for you. So low porosity, you can get away with not doing it for a while. If you have medium or normal, first of all, we envy you. Thank you so much for having the perfect porosity. Wow. Anyway, yeah, so for you guys, again, it's, you play it by, you know, how is your hair reacting, what does your hair need, right? So because, I mean, also medium, people don't need it quite as much, you can do once a month. It will really, once a month is plenty for someone with medium porosity, medium or normal porosity hair. Now for the high porosity people, hello, me too. Yeah, I too have high porosity hair, at least for the most part, and yeah, we need that help. We need that infusion of protein more often. So I'm just gonna tell you what I do. I do it once every 2 weeks. However, I can't lie to you, okay? Sometimes I slack. True story. Sometimes life is happening, I'm busy, you know, like we're out here trying to do something. We're out here trying to do something for ourselves, trying to do something, okay? And like, just there's no time, okay? You're working, you're doing what, you're just so busy and you can't. So sometimes it turns into once a month. Please don't be like me. Do your protein treatments twice a month. It's good for you. Your hair will thank you for it. Your hair will feel stronger. Your hair will retain moisture better. Truly is the best thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it about protein treatments. It's not a complex science. You need it. You know, you need it, and yeah, just go and find what works for you. Don't get too caught up in what's working for someone else or whatever. Every individual has very specific needs, and finding yours is a process. And I know that we all get lazy sometimes, but yeah, take the time to find your thing. Find your thing that works for you, and your hair will thank you for it. Your hair will flourish. Your hair will just be shining. It will be growing. It will be healthy. Wow. It will be the best it can possibly be. You know, don't get too caught up in comparing with other people. Find yours, and your hair will really thank you for it. So yeah, that is it from us about protein treatments. If you have questions about protein treatments, feel free to comment below. Let us know you know what you need to know, and we will answer all your questions. Follow us on Instagram, subscribe here, follow me on my Instagram at Fiona Kemi, and on my YouTube channel that is coming soon to a computer screen and or phone screen near you. Alright, thank you so much. Anyway, it's been great, and I will see you next time, guys. God bless. Mwah.